The Reaper's Bodyguard Act 1, The Curse and Beginning. There are 30 angels of death in this world. Each one bound eternally to a single bloodline. And my family, we drew the short straw generations ago. My name is Daniel Carter. I turned 21 on a Tuesday. For most people, a 21st birthday is a celebration. Drinks, friends, a wild night that blurs into memory. In the Carter family, turning 21 isn't a birthday. It's a sentencing. That morning started deceptively normal. The sun slipped through the blinds, dust particles floating in golden beams. The kitchen smelled like butter and burnt sugar. She made them every year, thick and soft with crisp edges. She smiled as she slid the plate in front of me, but her eyes were rimmed with red like she hadn't slept. It was scuffed, the glass cracked at the corner. When I sat down, he slid it across to me. "It was my father's," he said, his voice steady but low. "And his father's before him?" "It's yours now." The weight of the watch in my hand was heavier than it should have been. Every Carter who wore it had died in service of the Reaper. My phone buzzed. Ethan, my older brother, called from Chicago. His voice came through the speaker, too cheerful to be real. "Happy birthday, Danny." "Don't drink too much, or you'll end up like me." I forced a laugh. He knew. We both knew. His voice cracked when he tried to keep it light. He left years ago, ran as far as he could from home. But he couldn't escape the guilt of leaving me behind. Breakfast passed in silence after that. Claire's name, my sister, hung in the air like smoke, but no one said it. She'd been chosen before me, before the bond was ready, and the Reaper tore her apart for it. The day dragged like it was waiting for midnight. I tried to distract myself, watched TV, played guitar, sat on the porch listening to cicadas, but the heaviness pressed down harder with every passing hour. The lights dimmed without warning, shadows crawling along the walls. Then I felt it. A sharp sting sliced across my palm. Blood welled, trickling onto the hardwood floor. It spread in a perfect circle around my chair, glowing faint crimson. The air shifted thick, suffocating. And then he appeared. The Reaper. He towered above me, a figure made of bone and void. His skin hung like old parchment stretched over a skeleton, ribs jutting through. When he spoke, the sound wasn't a voice. It was the creak of coffin lids, the moan of wind through graveyards, the echo of dirt hitting wood. "Your blood binds you. From this night forward, you are mine." My chest burned as if invisible claws carved symbols into my skin. I wanted to scream, to run, but my legs locked. My parents sat frozen at the table, eyes glazed, unaware of the horror before me. Only I could hear him. The Reaper's skeletal hand extended, bony fingers brushing against my chest. A chill cut through me, colder than any winter night. The bond sealed. And just like that, I became the bodyguard of death. Act 2: The 5 Brutal Rules. The first night with the Reaper didn't end when the clock struck midnight. It began. His voice wasn't words, but a pressure in my skull, grinding like teeth on stone. Break them, and you will wish you never drew breath. My chest tightened. My mouth was dry. I couldn't respond. The Reaper continued. Rule 1. Never reveal my existence to outsiders. If you speak of me, their lungs will fill with blood. Their soul will be mine before its time. A vision slammed into my head, Mom coughing, blood pouring from her mouth as her eyes burst like glass marbles. The vision faded, but the warning stayed. Rule 2. You will answer when I summon, no matter the hour. You may be in bed, in church, in the arms of a lover. When I call, you will come. Your body will walk, your will be mine. I felt the tug in my chest then, like a hook lodged behind my sternum, pulling forward. You will watch, and you will protect me, but you will not stop what must be taken. Images filled my mind: an old man collapsing in his chair, a child drowning in a bathtub, a car crumpling against steel. Rule 4. When I am threatened, you will protect me with your life. Your blood, your flesh, your bone, they are mine to spend. If you fall, another of your blood will take your place. The weight of that truth crushed me. Why my father's eyes always looked haunted? Why Claire, my sister, never had a chance? And finally, Rule 5. The Reaper leaned so close I smelled rot, like graves opened under summer heat. Never stray beyond the blood circle. I swallowed hard, finding my voice for the first time. Why me? I whispered. The ghostly fire of his eyes burned brighter. Because your blood was chosen? The Reaper's hand clamped onto my shoulder. My vision blurred, the kitchen dissolved, and suddenly I was standing in the middle of a dark road outside town. Headlights blazed in the distance, a pair of cars speeding toward each other. I realized what was about to happen seconds before the crash. The screech of tires. The shatter of glass. A sound like thunder as the two vehicles twisted into each other, steel folding like paper. I staggered after him, choking on smoke, trying to keep my balance. He stopped beside a young man slumped over a steering wheel, blood running from his forehead. The soul. The boy's eyes fluttered open for a moment, glassy and wide. He saw me, not the Reaper, just me. His lips trembled. Please, help me. I froze. My instincts screamed to pull him from the car, to do something. But the Reaper's voice thundered in my head. Rule 3. Do not interfere. The soul slid fully from the body, drifting into the Reaper's hands. His eyes rolled back. I stumbled backward, bile burning my throat. My hands shook. My first harvest. The Reaper turned his flaming eyes toward me. You will grow used to this. By the time I collapsed back in my bed, the sun was rising. My clothes stank of smoke, my skin sticky with blood that wasn't mine. I lay there, trembling, staring at the cracked ceiling, knowing that this was only the beginning. Act 3. The horrors of service the nights bled together after that first harvest. Some nights he called me at 3 in the morning. Other times in the middle of the afternoon, while my mother folded laundry or Dad sat in his recliner pretending not to notice how pale I'd become. And each time my body obeyed. The second harvest was a drowning. We stood in a bathroom that smelled of mildew and bleach. A toddler splashed in the tub, giggling, while a young mother scrolled through her phone in the hallway. I lunged forward, instinct screaming. My hands nearly touched the boy's shoulders. But then the Reaper's grip tightened on my arm, his skeletal fingers burning cold. Bubbles popped quietly on the surface, then stillness. The Reaper reached into the water and lifted the boy's soul like a fragile candle flame. I turned away and vomited into the sink. The third harvest was worse. A construction site. A cable snapped. A man plummeted 4 stories and hit the ground like a broken doll. His coworkers screamed, rushing to his side, but they couldn't see me standing in the shadows. The man's last thought, as it echoed through my skull, wasn't fear of death. I shook for hours afterward. Weeks passed, each night more grotesque than the last. Fires, overdoses, shootings, accidents that seemed too cruel to be chance. I stopped eating. I stopped sleeping. Mom cried silently in the kitchen while Dad kept pouring whiskey into his glass, pretending not to see. Until the night in New Orleans. It was late September when the Reaper pulled me into the city. The air smelled of rain and old brick. He led me through narrow streets, past shuttered shops, into an old cemetery where the mausoleums leaned like crooked teeth. Others. Men and women with hollow eyes, standing in a circle beneath a flickering lantern. Marks of servitude? They turned when I approached, recognition flashing. One of them, a tall man with a ragged beard and a scar across his throat, stepped forward. "You're new," he rasped. "Daniel," he grunted. "Saw your father here once?" "Years back." Tough bastard. Another familiar, a woman with ash-colored hair and shaking hands, muttered, "None of us are tough." The meeting wasn't for them, it was for us? The familiars. We gathered in whispers, trading warnings, tricks for surviving the endless nights. "You'll only throw it up," another warned. "Some of them. They test us." Isabel, bound since she was 16 when her brother died too soon. Jorge, who lost both arms protecting his master from a demon hunter. All of them carried the same haunted look. All of them broken in different ways. That night, as the reapers fed on souls drifting from graves and hospitals alike, we stood together in silence. But the comfort didn't last. The harvest grew stranger after that. One night I watched as the reaper reached for a soul that didn't belong to him. A man who had been destined to live another 40 years. But someone had rewritten fate. The man screamed as the reaper ripped his soul free. The air tore open, and I saw them, shadows with eyes like burning coal, hunting in the night. They lunged at the reaper, their weapons glowing faintly. And for the first time I saw fear flicker in those pale flames. The reaper staggered back, and his voice roared in my head. "Protect me." My body moved before I could think. The metal connected with a sickening crack. Blood sprayed across my arms. The hunter collapsed. Another lunged. I tackled him into the dirt, smashing his face until my knuckles split. By the time I looked up, the reaper had already torn the others apart, their screams echoing into silence. The reaper's gaze fell on me. "Good?" "You learn," but I didn't feel good. I felt hollow. That night, when I returned home, Ethan was waiting on the porch. His eyes were sharp, his jaw set. "You're thinner," he said softly. "You look sick." I tried to brush past him, but he grabbed my arm. His grip was firm, desperate. "I've been looking, Danny. I think there might be a way out?" For the first time in weeks, hope flickered inside me. And the reaper's voice coiled in my skull. "No escape." Act 4. Rebellion. The hook in my chest never let me forget who I belonged to. But Ethan's words kept gnawing at me. For weeks after the night of the demon hunters, I thought about it every time the reaper called. The deaths piled up. So did the guilt. I couldn't scrub the images from my mind, the child sinking under bathwater, the construction worker's broken body, the hunter's blood soaking into my skin. And that's when Ethan made his move. It was a cold October night. Leaves skittered across the sidewalk as I trudged home, every muscle aching after a harvest that had left me on my knees in an abandoned hospital. No lights on, just him in the corner, holding a book so old it looked like it might crumble into dust. "Sit." I did. My legs were trembling anyway. He laid the book across my desk. I saw words that weren't English, Latin, Greek, maybe older. The paper was yellowed, edges curled, and a wax seal on the front was half broken. New Orleans, Ethan said. One of the familiars you met, Isabel. She told me where to look. My chest tightened. You've been following me? His jaw clenched. I've been trying to save you. He flipped to a page scrawled with symbols I didn't recognize. This, he said, tapping the page, is a ritual. It can cut the bond. The words sank in like a stone in water. Rule 5 haunted me. There is no escape. But the way Ethan's eyes burned with conviction, it was like he'd already stepped onto the battlefield. He explained. It required blood, my blood, willingly spilled. A circle drawn not with the Reaper's power, but with my own. Candles lit at the edges, each flame snuffed by a different element: earth, water, wind, fire. Out loud. Claim it instead of letting the Reaper claim me. Simple. Brutal. Terrifying. What if it doesn't work? I asked. Ethan's voice dropped. Then he kills us both. The Reaper must have sensed something. The next night, he dragged me into a slaughterhouse on the edge of town. The stench of blood clung to the walls, iron hooks swaying gently from the rafters. The Reaper peeled his soul out like smoke rising from an open wound. But instead of turning away, his pale fire eyes locked on me. You doubt me? It wasn't a question. My knees buckled. I couldn't speak, couldn't lie. He already knew. The Reaper's hand clamped around my throat, lifting me from the ground. Cold fire seared into my skin. You are mine, Daniel Carter. Do not forget. Then he dropped me. I crumpled to the concrete, choking, clawing at my neck. The mark burned long after he vanished. That night I told Ethan we had to do it. Soon. We chose Halloween. The veil between life and death would be thinnest. If there was ever a chance, it was then. For days, we gathered what we needed: candles stolen from the church, salt, knives, bowls of water. Every time we worked, I felt eyes on me. The Reaper never spoke, but his presence pressed down heavier than ever, like he was daring me. The night before Halloween, I dreamt of him. Standing at the foot of my bed, fire eyes burning through the dark. His voice coiled through me. Break the circle, and you break yourself. I woke with blood dripping from my nose. The basement was dark except for the circle of candles. Salt traced the edges, unbroken. The chalk symbols glowed faintly, like they remembered something older than human history. My palms were slick with sweat. Ethan knelt just outside, the old book open, his lips moving silently as he rehearsed the words. "No," I whispered. "But let's do it anyway." I cut my palm. Blood dripped onto the floor, soaking into the chalk. The circle hissed, like the house itself had taken a breath. Ethan's voice rose, steady and sharp. Ancient words filled the basement, scraping against my skull. The flames flickered. Shadows writhed against the walls. And then the hook in my chest yanked hard. The Reaper appeared in the circle. His body stretched impossibly tall, his eyes burning white-hot. His voice thundered. "What are you doing, Daniel?" My vision blurred. The urge to kneel, to obey, nearly crushed me. But Ethan shouted louder, his voice cracking with desperation. He threw water on one flame, dirt on another, a gust of wind from a broken bellows on the third. Fire. "Daniel," he screamed. "Say it?" "Your name." The Reaper stepped closer, pressing against the edges of the circle. His voice slithered into my ears. "You are nothing without me. You are mine. Forever." I clenched my fist, blood dripping. My throat burned. And then I screamed, "My name is Daniel Carter." The last candle extinguished. Light and shadow collided, tearing through the walls. The circle cracked, splitting down the middle. The Reaper roared, his voice rattling the foundation of the house. I felt the hook rip free from my chest. Agony worse than death itself. Blood sprayed from my mouth. I collapsed, screaming. Ethan held me, his arms iron around my shoulders. "Hold on." "Just hold on." The Reaper clawed at the air, his form flickering like a dying flame. Then, with one last shriek, he shattered into ash. Silence. The basement stank of smoke and blood. The chalk circle was gone. The book lay in ruins, pages burned to ash. And in my chest nothing. No hook. No voice. Just me. I was free. Or so I thought. Because as Ethan and I stumbled upstairs, coughing and shaking, I felt something else. Not his pull. But something darker. Something watching from beyond the veil, now that the bond was broken. And it was hungry. Act 5, the final price freedom tastes like iron. Sharp, bitter, metallic. Ethan hovered over me, relief written all over his exhausted face. "It worked," he whispered. "Danny, you're free." For a few fleeting hours, I believed him. No hook in my chest. No whispers in my ears. No pale fire eyes lurking in the shadows. Just silence. But silence can be dangerous too. The first sign came 3 days later. I was walking home from work when the streetlight above me flickered. Then another. Then the whole block plunged into darkness. And in that silence I felt it. Not the Reaper? Something bigger. A presence so vast it made him seem like a shadow of a shadow. The air grew heavy. My chest tightened. I stumbled, clutching the wall. And then I heard it like 1,000 voices speaking in unison from beneath the earth. The door is open. When the lights came back, I was on my knees, blood dripping from my nose. "I was afraid of this," he admitted, flipping through his ruined book. Most of it was ash, but he'd salvaged a few pages. The bond with the Reaper was a leash. "He wasn't just feeding on you, Danny. He was keeping something else out." I stared at him, horrified. "You mean I wasn't his prisoner, I was his shield?" Ethan's silence was answer enough. Not of the Reaper. He was gone. But of a great black ocean, endless and boiling. Shapes moved beneath its surface, vast, ancient, hungering. And every time I dreamed, they came closer to shore. Halloween had been the ritual. November was the warning. By December, the world itself began to crack. Birds fell dead from the sky. People in town started vanishing, whole families gone overnight, doors left wide open. Everywhere I went, shadows bent toward me, as if the darkness itself was trying to crawl back inside. I was sipping stale coffee, trying to steady my hands, when a man at the counter stiffened. And then he screamed. His body twisted, bones snapping, eyes rolling back. Black smoke poured from his mouth, filling the diner. The other patrons collapsed, choking. I ran, dragging Ethan out with me. Behind us, the man's body tore apart, nothing but smoke and ash left behind. And they're coming. I wanted to believe there was still hope. That maybe another ritual could fix this. But hope is fragile. The night before Christmas, Ethan confessed the truth. "There's only one way, Danny." His voice broke. "You can't shut the door from this side. But someone bound to death itself could." If they took the Reaper's place? I froze. You'd have to become him. The words hung between us like a noose. All this time I'd fought to be free. Now the only way to protect the world was to chain myself again worse than before. The signs were everywhere. The cracks widening. The voices louder. The ocean rising. If I didn't step into that role, the tide would swallow everyone. The last night, the sky turned red. Not sunset. Not dawn. Just a blood-colored shroud over the whole town. People screamed in the streets, clawing at their eyes as shadows ripped free from their bodies. And I knew what I had to do. Ethan led me back to the basement, though it barely resembled one anymore. The ritual circle still scarred the concrete, glowing faintly with embers that never died. His voice shook, but his hands didn't. He drew a fresh circle, salted it, lit what few candles we had left. "Call who?" I asked, though I already knew. "The Reaper." When I spoke his name, the air curdled. Shadows thickened in the corners, and the smell of iron filled my lungs. The temperature plummeted. And then he was there. The Reaper. Whole again. Pale fire eyes burning. His presence filled the basement, pressing me to the floor. "Daniel Carter," he hissed. "Did you miss me?" I swallowed hard. My throat was raw. "I need you." For the first time, his expression changed. Amusement. Curiosity. "You banished me. Now you beg me." "Why?" I pointed upward, toward the world tearing apart. "Because something worse is coming. And I can stop it, but only if I take your place." Silence. The Reaper studied me. His gaze was endless. Then slowly, impossibly, he smiled. "So be it." He reached out his hand. The hook pierced my chest again, but this time I didn't resist. Agony surged through me. My body convulsed, my vision filled with fire. But beneath the pain, I felt the power. The chains wrapping not just around me, but through me, anchoring me to death itself. The Reaper's form dissolved, his essence flooding into me like ice water. His hunger, my hunger. And in that moment, I understood everything. The ocean. The voices. The cracks. I was the wall now? the only thing holding them back. When I opened my eyes, Ethan was crying. "Danny?" he whispered. I smiled weakly, though my eyes now burned pale white. "Not Danny anymore?" He fell to his knees, sobbing. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." I laid a hand on his shoulder, though it was cold as stone. "You saved them. You saved everyone." Above us, the sky began to clear. The screams faded. The cracks sealed. The tide receded. The world was safe. But not for me. Because I was the Reaper now, and there was no escape. Epilogue. Sometimes, late at night, Ethan still swears he sees me. Standing on the edge of the street, pale fire burning in my eyes. Not hunting him. Not threatening. Just watching. Guarding. Because even the Reaper has a bodyguard. And now that bodyguard is me.